Hello everyone, great to have you on the channel here of MeteoMark Weather. Welcome. We have a lot to talk about here in the tropics, most importantly this area outlined down here across the MDR and the Caribbean. The European model going all out with this system across the Caribbean, developing it into our next potential tropical storm. We have other areas we'll be watching as well as we go into the next several days. And we'll take a look at all the rest of your weather as the tropics go into a major uptick mode as we enter September. Let's get into it. All right, so starting off with the European model here, and then of course we'll flip over to the GFS in a couple minutes here. So as we continue in time, this is that area that we're going to be watching. It is a very elongated area. In fact, you see it's got a lot of tropical moisture associated with it. Let's just go to the north here. You can see where our positioning of this high pressure system is across eastern New England, and another big one out here out by the Azores. And then we have another cell just south here right over North Carolina, providing some very nice weather. So that is going to be our steering over the next couple days. And as you can see, as we head towards the 31st here, we get into later on in the weekend, here is our big tropical wave. It's actually spinning moisture further south now towards Trinidad and Tobago here. So this is going to be rather interesting for you guys as well. I know you've been getting a lot of rain. I've gotten some comments from people in Trinidad and Tobago saying that it has been rainy. So look at this. As we head into September 1st, you can kind of get an idea of what's going on out here. Well, we got some really big waves out here in Central Africa. More big waves out by the Cape Verde Islands, and there's our wave. It's staying further to the south, and that has been the trend with this wave, is staying further south. Now we got this area right around the Bahamas. We got a lot of moisture across the Western Caribbean and the Western Gulf here. So as we continue out here in time into next week, look what's happening. We have some very gusty showers coming through with this system, and I think this is about the time we start to see some potential development here, or intensification, whichever you want to put it here. As we go through the 3rd into the 4th, there it is. It's really trying to close off an area of low pressure. So this may actually become a tropical storm just before it reaches the Leeward Islands here and the Lesser Antilles for that matter. And look at that. As we head through the 3rd, you can see where it's located on the western end of our envelope here, issued by the National Hurricane Center. Look at this massive blob behind it. That's another area we're going to be watching. And right off the Carolina coast, that is another area. You can see what's happening here. We're going to have a massive blocking pattern really setting up here across the western Atlantic and the northern Atlantic. So that's going to keep things very suppressed to the south. That is very concerning here for parts of the Caribbean islands. Now, as we continue through the 4th into the 5th, this is where things really start to go crazy with the European model. Not only do we have this system behind it, way out here, look at this, looks like it's starting to develop. We got this little area out ahead of it, but look what's happening here. And I'm very concerned because this almost looks like, you know, it's kind of paralleling the track of previous storms. You know which storm I'm talking about, Beryl, back in June and the beginning of July. And look at how it really starts to intensify here, the 5th into the 6th, into the 7th. The only good news is the area of low pressure is a little bit displaced, but look at this. It's really intensifying rapidly here towards Jamaica, and that is concerning. And we have 2 other areas of concern out here. So let's just get rid of that. There we go. So here it is, our big area of concern behind it. And we could be talking about a tropical system, tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane off the North Carolina coast by the 6th here. Stay tuned for that. The Gulf just filling up with tremendous amount of moisture. I know many of you are going down here for vacation plans. It's going to be a lot of rain surging right into Florida around the 6th here. Now, as we head into the 6th, into the 7th here, there it is, bringing it up across Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. So this is not good because you ultimately see where these high pressure systems are steering this. It's making a beeline right for the Gulf of Mexico. This is by September 8th. Now, we got plenty of time to watch it. Doesn't mean that's going to happen. Same for Jamaica. Any one of these Caribbean islands, Central America up to the Gulf, even the U.S. East Coast, Southeast Coast definitely needs to keep watching all the way up here. Look at this. These are areas that stand a chance of development as we head towards the peak of hurricane season. And before we dive into the GFS model here, don't forget if you've made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button. It really does help everyone. Question or comment down below. I'd love to read your questions or comments. Keeps our weather community active. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted when I come out with any one of my future weather video updates. Let's continue. All right, so let's take a look at our GFS model here. Yeah, it's going to look very similar here, I think. And as we continue in time, there it is through the 31st into the 1st. We can see the GFS model bringing our system through the Lesser Antilles, initially a little weaker than the European model here. So this is right around the 3rd. You can see some gusty showers and thunder showers from Trinidad, Tobago, all the way up to St. Lucia here. This is going to continue towards the west-northwest. And there it is, beginning to explode across the Eastern Caribbean. So what is going to happen here as we continue to go out here in time, barreling right across Jamaica? This almost looks identical to the European model. There's the low pressure displaced a little bit towards the southwest here. And then as we continue, our last oh, look at that. There it is, starting to form an eye. Let me get it back there. There it is. Right over the Cayman Islands, trying to form an eye. Wrap around all that moisture, becoming a tightly wound system. So this is something we need to keep a very close watch on. And as we continue with our GFS model, it becomes more and more concerning here on the GFS of a hurricane coming through not just Jamaica, but the Cayman Islands, and then intensifying as it moves into the central Gulf of Mexico and starting to hook a right curve up towards the north-central part. This is September 11th. Now, take this with a grain of salt. Please take this with a grain of salt, because you can see right here, September 11th, this is 312 hours out. But it is showing, if you do a three-dimensional cross-section here, a very powerful, intense hurricane here. This is the concern, that this system could develop into something and then eventually develop into a major hurricane somewhere. And we're going to continue to watch this trend. This is not to be taken as a forecast, because this can change greatly. But it is kind of disturbing this far out. So our GFS here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits for our mid-layer dry air analysis. Let's see what dry air, if any, this system is going to have to contend with. Not much. Look at how it's retreating up here. A lot of the dust is moving back up and retreating towards this high-pressure system. But look at here. We don't have a lot of dry air to talk about. So this tropical system is going to come through the Lesser Antilles as we head through September 4th, 5th. And there it is, showing up on the GFS very readily here, just like the European model. So we almost have particular unanimous model agreement this far out. That is crazy. Here's our next system. We're going to be watching quite a bit in the tropical wave action. Here the GFS is bringing a hurricane into the northwestern Caribbean there, and look at right into the central Gulf, 969 millibars. Please stay tuned. This could be interesting. This is right at the peak of hurricane season 2, September 10th. To talk about a major hurricane like this, granted, it's pretty far out here on our GFS scale, it's still a trend that's a little troubling. Now, looking at our European run here, you can see it's going to be very identical here to the GFS. As we continue in time, there's our system coming through the Lesser Antilles right around Monday into Tuesday. That next system showing up stronger, less dry air behind it here. There's our next system off of Africa, and lots of dry air just to the north, but it doesn't seem to be wrapping into these systems too much. There's the European model showing a developing system continuing to head towards the Gulf. It looks like, though, the European is bringing more dry air in here from the northwest, though. And here's our CanSIPS model for the rest of August. You can see just pummeling here of moisture, tropical wave action, and off the southeast coast as well. And then as we head into September here, things are just going to really blossom across the MDR here, and you can see reinforcing our moisture surge all the way up much of the East Coast here. All right, so let's take a look at our rainfall amounts here into the Caribbean. It looks okay until we get to later on in the weekend, and this is where we start to see Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and then look what's coming out of the east here. There's our potential system, and if this does target Jamaica, the Cayman Islands here, we could be getting close to between 150 and 250 millimeters of rainfall. To put that in perspective, that is a solid 6 to as much as 12 inches of rain. This would be devastating. And getting to the Eastern Caribbean, there is our big wave developing into our potential tropical storm right across the Lesser Antilles here. 100 to 150 millimeters. That would put us right at around 3.5 to as much as 6.5 inches of rain. Even eastern parts of Puerto Rico here, look at that, upwards of 100 to 125 millimeters. That's 3.5 to as much as 5 inches of rain. So out into the Western Pacific here, we are still talking about Tropical Storm Shanshan here. So this system is going to continue to cause major flooding concerns here across parts of Japan. It's just going to continue. Here it is, the 30th. Into the 31st, it's not moving much. It's pretty much stalling over Osaka by this point. This is just terrible for Japan. You're having probably one of the worst typhoon seasons you've seen in a very long time. And then as we continue, look at that. It finally starts to move out with the westerlies here by September 2nd. In contrast, look at South Korea here. Seoul, all the way down the peninsula here, you are looking A-okay. Maybe just a few showers. And then over to Shanghai, China, a few showers as well. Very fascinating weather over here. I like to take a look at their weather because this is where a lot of our weather patterns come from in correlation. Now look at this. You got another storm bombing up as it combines with Shanshan here towards the 3rd into the 4th. So it allows Japan a chance to dry out. Look at South Korea has been really getting some beautiful weather here. Look at that. So as we continue, it's not looking so bad here, but I wanted to turn your attention down here north of the Philippines, right over Taiwan. Here is our next potential system. It's a wave over the next couple days as we head into the weekend. It does start to develop just east of the Philippines, and the European model brings it north towards the 2nd, the 3rd, into the 4th, and then by this time period, it does a hard left hook right into Taiwan as the steering currents become weaker. So this could be a typhoon by this point, and then bringing it right into South China with tremendous flooding rains. And then look at behind it here. We got two other areas that could become potential tropical storms or typhoons. Now, wow, what is going on with the Pacific here? Tropical Storm Hone here. Remember, this is the system that, brushed Hawaii last weekend. We're still watching this, and this could develop into a typhoon again. Here's Japan. It doesn't look like at this point it's going to be a threat to Japan. It's way out here. In fact, the good news is it does get caught up here into the westerlies. We do see that system combined with Shanshan here, and that is going to move this system up towards the Aleutian Islands. And then we have what's left of Gilma. Watch this. Hawaii. You've been dealing with some outer periphery showers here, and that's going to continue into Friday, into Saturday. Thankfully, it's not a very strong system. We got remnants of Hector out here and nothing else to watch out here into the Eastern Pacific. Severe weather for your Friday. It's not going to be a widespread outbreak, but you get the idea here. We're going to see some strong thunderstorms across parts of the western, central, and northern Carolinas here, southern Virginia, most importantly around Detroit here, and then a marginal risk here into the Ohio Valley. So watch out. We could be having some strong to severe thunderstorms here pushing into the Ohio Valley and eastern Great Lakes. Friday and Friday evening. And Saturday, this threat moves into the northeast. You can see northern New York. As we get into your Saturday, we could be looking at, in this green area, from Cleveland on eastward to the Capital District of New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, Scranton, Binghamton, Buffalo, Syracuse here, all looking at a chance of marginal showers and thunderstorms that could contain damaging wind gust and large hail. All right, so let's take a look at our HRRR future radar here as we head Thursday night into Friday. morning here. There it is, that complex of showers and thunderstorms that was across Pennsylvania, parts of Maryland here. That dropping to the south, you can see we will have some gully washers as far north here as upstate New York towards the Hudson Valley as we head into Friday morning. And those pivoting eastward, we're still dealing with some scattered showers up here. But watch to the west here. As we get into about 5 p.m., we're going to start to see some of these showers and thunderstorms develop here across the eastern Ohio Valley and eastern Great Lakes. And watch this. As we continue in time, some of these could develop towards Cleveland and Erie as we get towards 9 p.m. on Friday. We're also dealing with some big gully washers down here Friday evening into early Saturday morning as we head across North Carolina, Virginia, and the Outer Banks. Those start to fizzle. And look at this. This is setting us up. This is 1 p.m. Let's just back that up just a tad here. So as we progress through 7 a.m. on Saturday morning here, yeah, look at this. Quite a bit in the way of activity. This is going to, you can see where the front is, by the way. Montreal all the way down to Missouri here. This is going to be a stormy, rainy Saturday for many. And you can see Pennsylvania really starting off with a boom here. Now for Louisiana and Texas and extreme southern Mississippi, this is what you're going to be dealing with. You can almost see that circulation here trying to come northward towards the Texas-Louisiana coast as we continue through Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday morning. Here it is, 7 a.m. Here's our future radar for southern Louisiana. There is going to be a tremendous amount of tropical moisture. This is noon. Look at these bands coming north. They almost resemble feeder bands. And you can see the low trying to close off here around Houston, Galveston, Beaumont, Port Arthur area. And you look at this. This is like an endless train of moisture. And this low pressure system is going to stall right between Galveston and Beaumont here. It's going to be really interesting. Daytime heating goes away. And then look at this. Saturday into Saturday afternoon, we're going to see that big flare up again. We'll be going over rainfall totals momentarily. So our rainfall amounts here across the United States, as we can see, southern Louisiana, extreme eastern Texas there. That is where you're going to see a lion's share of the rain. Look at this, right up towards Florida and South Carolina and skimming parts of North Carolina as well. This here into the northeast will continue into Thursday evening, into Thursday night, Friday, especially into Saturday, though. We'll see a surge of moisture here, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches in some areas. But most areas will see 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. But it's down here across the south. These red areas, 2.5 to as much as 4.5 inches of rain. In the yellow areas, 4 to 6 inch plus. So some of these areas in southern Louisiana, southeast Texas, southern Texas, you could be getting upwards of close to 6 inches plus. And here we are for the Gulf Coast areas. There it is, southern Louisiana getting in on up towards 6 inches in some of these areas. So watch out. That's going to be a surge of moisture. The whole peninsula of Florida is in a solid 2.5 to 3.5 inches. And look at coastal South Carolina, up towards 6 to 8 inches. All right, so picking up where the HRRR future radar left off here, as we continue to go out here in time, the big news this weekend is going to be that slow-moving frontal boundary, trying to move into this area of high pressure to the east. Not making much headway as we get here into Sunday, although it will be making it further to the south and the east as we head into Monday. So look at this. High pressure really starting to build in later Sunday into Monday. You can see the trouble areas from North Carolina, Texas, Florida, all these areas. We'll be continuing to watch that area of moisture. And as we head through 5 p.m. on the 2nd here, so getting further into Labor Day, look at Texas all the way over to the Carolinas here, Florida. You're engulfed in tropical moisture. The diurnal heating effects just bubbling up those showers and thunderstorms. Now look at this blocking high. This is actually a very cold high for this time of year. Many areas will be in the upper 60s to lower 70s. We'll go over those temperatures in just a couple minutes here. But look at this as we head through the 5th into the 6th. This is the feature. We could be looking at a tropical storm or a hurricane off the Carolina coast here. It's not out of the question. And look at the Gulf. It just continues to bubble up and percolate here with plenty of moisture as we head through September 6th, the 7th, into the 8th. And look at that. We replace this potential system with another one here. So for our Canadian weather forecast, what's going on up here in Canada? Well, you got a lot of high pressure. You only have one storm, but it is a big storm. This is a 988 millibar low. Look at this, pivoting a strong cold front to the east, high pressure right over Nova Scotia here. Look at that. Look how fast this is moving. The 30th into the 31st, it sweeps that cold front south. So this is going to be the leading edge of that much cooler air that's going to be flooding into much of eastern Canada and eastern United States as well. There you can see at the 31st, that surge of moisture. And then we have a little bit of a low pressure system trying to form behind it, an upper low. So that'll pivot some shower and thunderstorm activity as well. But there it is, clearing out much of Canada, clearing out, except for the Canadian Maritimes. It's 984 millibar low, bombing out up here. And look at that. Yeah, you're going to see much cooler conditions prevail, but then we get another system blowing up here into the central provinces. That is going to bring some severe weather, so watch out as we head into the 5th, into the 6th. This will be bringing some cool shots here across much of Canada. But look at that. By September 8th, another big cold high-pressure system building in here, bringing some air down from Hudson Bay. And there's our next system moving through Saskatchewan and Manitoba with some showers and thunderstorms. And our Canadian rainfall forecast, central provinces up there, Manitoba over to Western Ontario. Look at that, upwards of 45 to 70 millimeters. And then look at this. You're starting to see it look a little bit more like winter here in northwestern British Columbia, upwards of 150 millimeters in some of these areas. You know, that's up towards 6-7 inches. But here it is, up into northern Ontario and Quebec. That's where you'll see 70 to 125 millimeters. A little bit less here across southeastern Canada with upwards of 40 to 60 millimeters, about a 3/4 to 1 1/4 inches. And before we continue, don't go anywhere. I got plenty more weather for you. Take a look at these awesome maps from my affiliate. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. All right, so let's take a look at our temperature outlook here. Look at Friday. I want to show you something here. Look at the temperature disparity. Upper 60s, lower 70s in interior Pennsylvania, New York State. But look at 96 here into central Ohio, 90 in Cleveland, 92 in Pittsburgh. That's why we're seeing that severe weather trouble that we're going to continue to watch here. You know, it's not going to be tremendously widespread, but it's something we'll have to keep an eye on into Saturday. We start to see the cooler air here press eastward. Still 90 here, 91 in Pittsburgh, all the way down through the Carolinas here. But watch what starts to happen here. You can see it. The start of it, 70s. You're still in the mid to high 80s here into Sunday here into the Ohio Valley. And we see a surge of 80s into the northeast, 90s here. Look at the west continues to surge with baking. But look at this for Monday. Many of these areas, northern New York, New England, northern Pennsylvania could be in the upper 60s for highs. So that's a cool shot for your Labor Day. Wow, look at that. Tuesday, still dealing with some upper 60s for highs, rebounding into the 70s, into the Ohio Valley, and 90s. So yeah, we're going to rebound things. This isn't going to stick around forever. One thing to note, though, you will cool into the 70s here into parts of North Carolina and South Carolina in the mid-Atlantic. So watch out for that as we head into Wednesday, September 4th. Extended forecast for hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley, New York and Pennsylvania. Let's take a look. Friday is mostly cloudy, maybe a chance of showers throughout the day, but it's just going to mainly be a cloudy day, hovering right around 70, so not so bad. Saturday warms up closer to the upper 70s, showers and thunderstorms all day, so it's pretty much an all-day washout for the most part, upwards of a half to 3/4 of an inch of rain. And then as we head into Saturday night, continuing showers, but look at that, Sunday, we start to try to clear it out a bit. You have one more warm day into the low 80s, but look at Labor Day. We fall off a cliff here, upper 60s. And look at those overnight lows dropping down into the upper 40s. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.